Yeah, I want to go over some of the theories on the reptilian underground networks and all this garbage. Now, I know there's people that solidly believe in these type of things, but I'm going to put forth a couple common sense questions to call into, well, question not the entire theory, but just say it exists, how much of a threat really it is, or whatever the hell it is exactly, because I would not know, but you can ask yourself some common sense questions about some of these things that are pretty outlandish and wild theories about underground bases and underground alien civilizations and underground lizards and all this other stuff. And you can come up with some really simple stuff that really people are not, well, they're not asking these simple questions. That's what it is. So let's just entertain the thought that some of these rumors are true. Let me just backtrack a second, because first let's go with the most solid type things. Underground military bases, deep underground, a mile or 2 miles down or more, and a network of bases that are interconnected, especially through the western continental United States. That's the most plausible thing going, because it's been they've been building these things since the 60s. I know, like in Russia, they have underground. They have a city about almost the size of Moscow underneath Moscow, like 2 miles down. And a lot of these things were built in an event of possible nuclear war. Now, there's a lot of other things that are going on. It's been alleged. I know there have been, Duce, Mexico, and with Phil Snyder's encounter with aliens and all this type of stuff. Now, let me just backtrack a little bit more, just kind of hit with a little more solid factoid. There's been former astronauts on the Apollo space program that have stated publicly that there are aliens, and they exist, okay? I mean, there's some really high up important people have stated this, and if you're actually digging into some of the stuff, it's probably true. But I want to state this, there's a lot of other things out there going on, and they're saying that some of the conspiracy communities are like saying that underground reptilians are controlling everything and doing this, and I'm thinking to myself, bullshit. And this is the reason I'm saying that, even if they exist, and say it's something that's like just entertain a postulate and say, yeah, underground reptilian type of people, species exist deep underground, 10, 20 miles down or 5 miles down, or in different cavern systems in the U.S. and across the world. Say they exist. Let's just entertain a thought, right? Well, some of the other things where they get into these conspiracy theories are saying they're working with the New World Order to take over the planet. And I'm thinking and they're highly developed and they're far more intelligent than humans. And I'm thinking to myself, what if they were going to try to take over the world, and they've been around for centuries and they've been around for thousands of years, why did they not do it back when mankind was using wooden ships to sail around in, and before we even had gunpowder firing weapons and we had swords and shields? Why did you not do it back then? I mean, right now, pretty much everybody in the United States owns a gun or something, and it's like if there's these reptilians or some crap trying to take over, it ain't going to happen, you know what I mean? But, that's not something that's actually thought of in a conspiracy circles. They would make it sound like there's something insurmountable. Now, to tell you the truth, I've read a number of legends from the Indians, and I'm going to point to one link. I was kind of mocking the story. It was a 1930-something article printed in the LA Times about the underground lizard people of LA. And there's a lot of Indian legends that state that there's something like that. And I do know in all the national parks, all the cave entrances are closed off to the public. And I know the reason they state that is because they don't want somebody to get hurt and they can't find him, and it's going to cost all this millions of dollars of search and rescue effort to try to find somebody if they get lost down there, or there could be illegal activities or whatever. But then again, it may be because they're trying to hide something. But I don't really take the Indian legends as total made-up garbage. The more I dig into ancient history and ancient legends, the more you find out that they're not as crazy as they sound, and there's some kind of truth to it. Where it gets crazy is when they too often they take a nugget of truth and they just go off with a hyperbolic curve someplace and, you know, make all these theories about it. There could be a lot of different things going on underground in these military bases where they're trying to do genetic experimentations and hybrid cloning and all this kind of garbage, and there's been a number of hints of that also in the major media stories over the years. You know, we know about the clone sheep Dolly, and I know they can even clone humans today. It's actually advertised on the internet for people that can't have children or something like that, that they can clone people and stuff. It's just a commercial venture that's out there in the public already. But considering that's the possibility in deep underground bases, I don't know what the hell they could be doing any damn thing there is. And there could be some type of other species that lives on a planet that we don't know about. But I just want to say this: if that is the case, the reason people have not seen them is because it must be that the tropical environment that we live in, where there's like natural air and sunlight, must be very hostile to them. Let's assume that's a fact, you know, that there is, you know, lizard people or reptilian race or something that lives underground. It must be that there is this environment that we live in, where we like say, oh, we like going to the beach in the sunlight. That would be very much alien to them and very harmful to them. I would assume that would have to be the case, because if you're thinking about some type of species that can live underground in a cavern system 2 miles down, it must be in a totally different environment. I do know that the temperature of the Earth, as it gets down, does stay at one consistent temperature. Like we always, sometimes people think that with the further down you go in the Earth, that the hotter it gets. That's not true. It may be true at the very center of the Earth, but as far as like when you go down a mile or 2 miles or 3 miles, it's a very consistent temperature, and all the geologists know this. Where the molten lava comes from in earthquakes and volcanoes is from friction. It's almost like if you took a ball bearing in a car or in a wheel or something like that, and you had, you know, the rotational forces on that ball bearing steel going very fast with anything to cool it down with grease or oil lubrication, the metal will turn white hot and disintegrate. That's exactly how the molten lava comes from out inside the Earth during like earthquakes and volcanoes. There's pressure from the plates, and the plates actually cause massive amounts of heat from the pressure and the friction. The actual temperature inside the Earth is a moderate cool temperature, very consistent all year round, except when you get down to the very center of the Earth. So it is very possible, you know, temperature-wise, for something to be living down there. And if you just splice in all the rumor stories out there that are on the internet about people in the former in the military that have said that there's stuff down there, and there's experimenting going on, and there's also the Indian legends, there's probably truth to it. But then again, like I said, if there was a species living inside the Earth, and I'm just putting out this as like a hyperbolic, you know, just a postulate, just throw it out here as a hypothesis, you know, whatever, that if there is a species living inside the Earth, the reason it's not been known is because this environment up where we live is extremely hostile for them. And it's like, what I'm thinking is, if there's such a highly developed species or whatever the hell it is, I can't believe that bullshit. You know, I would think that the human race would be far more intelligent than if there was another species on this Earth. It's just that there might be some weird goings on underground, that the rumors are not total BS. You know, I actually I looked at some of this stuff with this Donald Marshall. I don't know if everything he says is totally accurate, but there's a little bit more to his story probably than just what goes on with the cloning centers, the high technology. You know, he talks about a reptilian race or some garbage like that. It may be true. it may be true. If we look back on some of the even legends in Western Europe, you know, you look on Notre Dame, you see the gargoyles all around them and stuff, and it's like, you know, we always seem to have these, you know, leprechauns in the Irish folklore. A lot of times these folklore stories are based upon something real. But then they also make it, you know, in the conspiracy land media, they make it sound like the reptilian race is controlling the United Nations and taking over the world. And I'm thinking, no. That's people, man. That's people all the way. See, like, in other words, if it came out at solid proof that there's a reptilian race living inside the earth, and they actually said, here it is, you know. I know they found, I know, like, the Smithsonian's actually said, they also said that, you know, they showed this back at the turn of the century, where other species of mankind was found out west with double rows of teeth, having about 7 or 8 foot height and stature and things like that, with long blonde reddish hair. You know, that was also in Indian folklore, but they also found the bones. And when there probably is some kind of cover up for some of this stuff, because it doesn't fit into all the historical and religious things that people are told to believe, you know. So some of this stuff might be legit, but when the conspiracy people pick up on the fact, they just run, or they can pick up on something that, not say it's a fact, but say it's like, it looks pretty solid to be legit. They'll take that grain of whatever looks to be pretty solid to be legit, and they'll just run with the ball and just take off in all different directions. You know, actually, in the Indian legends, the you know, the taller, different type of humanoid race that they said they ran into, they were like giants. They were like 7, 8 feet tall or more. I think they were 7 or 8 feet tall. I don't think they weren't 15 feet. I forgot what the height was. It was under 10 feet. It could have been 7, 8, or 9 feet. But according to the legend, they lived in caves. They had double rows of teeth. They had like reddish or blondish hair, long hair. What the Indians did was they used fire to seal them in the cave with smoke, and I guess, you know, that killed them. So, I mean, if primitive Indians could do this, I mean, people today can, if there was a threat, people could actually do this, no problem. It's not going to be a threat. The real threat is coming from the egomaniac, narcissistic control freaks that are looking to take over the globe. And I think a lot of times this stuff in the alternative media, where they're telling you it's this and that, and it's just some kind of alien doing it, and the aliens are all controlling the earth, and the reptilians are doing it. And I know it's not, it's a fringe group that believes in this. I think they're really, I think that's part of a disinformation campaign. That's what I think it is. I think it's just simply the main focus of everything that's coming about in a world where they're restricting people's personal freedoms and things like that, or they want to control all resources in the world. It's humans doing it. It's people. It's the oldest game in the world, man. It's been that way since day one. Some people want to own everything, and they want everybody to freaking pay for their shit, and they got an endless appetite for what the hell they want. It's not more complicated than that. And again, I just want to point out, if there is, you know, I'm suspecting. I mean, I can't prove nothing, but I'm a little more suspicious because of the credibility of some of the people that stated there was underground types of reptilian race, or whatever hell, living way down, and the Indian legends and some of the legends that are in folklore, even in Western and Chinese, you know, history going back. There could be some really truth to that, but the thing is, a little common sense will tell you that whatever environment they live in, this environment that we live in would be very hostile to them, just as if we went down into a subterranean place it would be hostile to us. Like, we need sunlight to, metabolize vitamin D and things like that. We need sunlight actually even for other things that we don't even recognize in the medical world, in the established medical world, but it's almost like a frequency vibration we get to the eyes that helps us live, survive. People actually live underground for a long time. They actually experience, I forgot what the hell some kind of cave, I forgot what the heck it is. It's some kind of cave thing. I forgot what it is, but it's almost like it's harmful to them physiologically and psychologically, both. But both physically and psychology wise, if somebody lives underground a long time, they experience these problems. So that environment, even if we had all the air and artificial light and the food, would not be conducive to human life. And I would think that whatever type of breathing these reptilians do, it might be, and I've read that it's a higher sulfur content of type of air, and they must be very well adapted to seeing in basically dark, for all I know. It could be like a freaking worm or something, for all I know. But I wanted to put this out here because there's a load of stories on YouTube and the internet that are alleging that this reptilian, and David Icke is another one. He's another one putting this kind of stuff out. He's very famous. But it's like the reptilians are taking over the world. The reptilians are owning all these people, and the reptilians are behind everything. They're highly sophisticated. This is the kind of stuff that's out there. And it's a significant, it's not like the predominant major majority opinion of people out there, but it's a very significant opinion of certain groups of people out there. And they're not thinking in common sense ways that, if they were trying to take over the world and they've been underground for thousands of years or hundreds of years or whatever at least, they could have done it 150 years ago real easy when, we didn't have the technology to defend ourselves today. I mean, just think about even like in the 1500s, what the hell did they have? Or what did they even have in the 1700s? Single-shot rifles, and most people didn't even have a rifle back then. So, I mean, it's, it's ludicrous, some of the hypotheses these people are putting out from, just saying that there's a reptilian race. So, I mean, the real crux of the problem, if you just, it's like I don't have to have an insider person telling me this. It's common. It's like right there. Just think plain and simple. Like, you can postulate and entertain some wild thoughts. Like, I'm not like totally discounting or totally going one way or the other with, the reptilian deal. I just, I've kind of like, I've never seen one. I don't have any kind of solid enough proof. There's a lot of like little stuff out there. There's credible people that said it was true. But, if I say that's a postulate, and let's say that's an hypothesis or whatever, and we just go from there, you start having to figure other things out. These people can't be that smart, or this race of reptilians can't be that smart, that numerous, or that strong. And because if they were trying to take over the planet or some garbage, they would have done it a long time ago. Actually, today, with the population of the world being, many times higher than it was centuries ago, and the know-how and the communication and the means to defend, people's means to defend themselves is exponentially higher. You'd have to figure, if there's reptilians, they're not very smart, okay? It's part of a game that's going on with something, I don't know what, but there's probably some truth to it. It may be. It sounds crazy, but there might be some truth to it. Like I said, I can't freaking prove it one way or the other, It's just like, it's not like I believe in it or not, and I really don't care that much about it. And the only point I'm making about with this video is to address where people take that postulate or hypothesis and You know, they think that the whole the leadership of the human race, or whatever, you know, leaders on the top in the world, are all being controlled by reptilians from underground. Well, just think, damn it. Just think for freaking a minute. It's ridiculous to even, you know, say that reptilians exist. Do you think they would be the ones that were controlling the humans? No. It's beyond ludicrous, you know. It's like if they were trying to take over the world for all this time, they could have done it 200 years ago, or 100 years ago, or 500 years ago. This would be the worst time. There's more people around than any time, and the people around have all the means in the world to defend themselves, communicate, collaborate, and whatever the hell they need to do. Now it's people doing this stuff, and I think a lot of this stuff that's on the alternative media, where they get down these rabbit holes and all these theories, is actually being portrayed by the powers that be, fostered by the powers that be. Like, I think David Icke is totally in with this, the powers that be to the max. The Council on Foreign Relations and every other damn thing, I think he's totally in with it. I am almost 110% sure of it. Okay? I mean, a reptilian thing, I just kind of like throw it out there, like, let's postulate it, there's some anecdotal evidence, some people that are credible witnesses that said it's real. But as far as me saying that I think David Icke is totally in with the New World Order agenda to the max, and he's a complete disinformation agent to the max, yeah, I think that is a freaking 110% truth right there all the way. But his fans won't think that. I know that. Because they've already got their mind made up, because they said what they want to believe. But that's, you know, that's the problem. The problem is you're being deflected from the real cause of what is actually pushing this New World Order, and it's done by some power-hungry, egomaniac, narcissistic humans, and we always have a percentage of those type of humans no matter what. You know, the whole point of why we had the Constitution and a limited form of government with checks and balances and the Bill of Rights in the United States was because it seems that the most egomaniac, narcissistic, hooray for me, the hell with everybody else, and I just can't have enough for myself type of people seem to gravitate to the highest echelons of government, or power, or corporate power, or whatever. And the Founding Fathers knew this because it's just how it is in human nature. There's always a small percentage of people that are like that, or, you know, there's maybe a larger percentage of people that are semi like that. There's a larger percentage of people that are maybe somewhat like that. You know what I mean? But the worst of the worst seem to gravitate to the top. It's people doing this New World Order garbage. It's not the reptilian race. So, you know, I'm not going to reject the theory that there's absolutely no possibility that another race of reptilians or something lives inside the Earth. It could be possible. You know, how many people have been down 10 miles in the Earth through all the caverns in the world? You know, not many. The military would know this, and it's probably true. It may be somewhat true. I don't know. It's like I can't prove that or not prove it. But like I said, they wouldn't be the ones pulling the New World Order. It's people. Anyway, I just hope I made this clear, because there seems to be a gazillion different things on the internet and on YouTube that are pushing, you know, theories that are just not making any kind of common sense at all. And I'm not gonna reject the reptilian theory. How's that? I'm just gonna reject that if there is a reptilian race, they could have taken over the world a long time ago. This would be the worst time to do it. You're being deflected from the real cause and the real problem. And the solution actually is simple. The people that have this kind of power, we have the tools to actually take it away from them. But people are led around by the nose. We could take the power away from them at any time, even if it's the voting booth. But most people don't vote, don't bother. They say it's rigged. They could do it at the House of Representatives. They don't do it. Anyway, over and out.